I do want to talk more about that because I have a theory that I really do believe this. I think on some level, Tony wanted AEW to look more like ECW and less like WCW. And I understand why people immediately make the comparison because there's more money behind it. It's well funded. It's on a Turner channel. Even the name Dynamite sounds like Nitro. Like, I get it. But when you hear Tony talk about his wrestling fandom, he always talks about, when his dad took him to the ECW arena and he just holds ECW in such high regard. And I can't help but wonder, had he leaned more into that and less into the WCW style of presentation and the roster and all of that, do you think this could have looked or felt a little differently, or is this all just, hey, he grew up reading the Observer, so he's making the type of show that he thinks Dave likes, and maybe not everybody else likes it?
You ask a couple of different questions there. You made a couple of different points. So let me start at the end. I think Dave Meltzer's influence over Tony is there.
Yeah.
And I think it's undeniable. And anybody that knows the people involved and knows what's going on behind the scenes, to deny that is to deny reality. And people tend to want to do that a lot. So have at it. I don't give a fuck. I believe what I believe. So I didn't say I know what I know. I just believe what I believe because I'm smart enough and been around the industry long enough and know the players, at least regard to Dave, well enough. I absolutely believe there's a significant influence. Maybe not on a day-to-day basis, but a significant influence. And it's horrible. I used to say, whatever Dave Meltzer thinks is the right way to go, do 180 and you're probably going to be right. The guy has absolutely, talk about no fundamental understanding of the wrestling industry. He knows the history of it better than probably anybody. And if he would stay in his lane, he would be an asset to the industry, I believe. But Dave tries to impart his broader knowledge of how to get people over and what's good for television and what works and doesn't work on people. And some people, unfortunately, people like Tony, buy into it. And I think in Tony's case, based on things that I've heard him say or read him say, I should say, to be more clear, he was very much impacted by ECW. And that's going to have an influence on you, just like AWA had an influence on me. The style of wrestling, the general presentation in that time had a big impression on me. So there's nothing wrong with that. But when the essence of your question was, could it have been differently? Absolutely. And that's the part that pisses me off.
Yeah.
That is the part that pisses me off more than anything. And it's not about me hating Tony. It's not about me hating AEW. And for God's sake, you fucking idiots, it's certainly not about me hoping people lose their jobs. Fucking clowns. It's about a missed opportunity. And he was there. Tony had it. If he would have come out and said something like, I'm not suggesting he should have said this, but something like, you've got WWE, they're great. If that's what you like, they're great. But this is what we're doing over here. And we support them, but we're doing this over here. Accentuate the difference and the alternative nature of what you're about to present by putting over the 800-pound gorilla, not by trying to chop him down. Because you're immediately taking that audience and turning them either immediately against you or subconsciously against you. Because you're basically telling them you shouldn't like what you like. That ain't how you get over, brother. That's not how you get your brand over. That's not how you maximize the good fucking will that you were gifted with, because you came up with this idea to launch AEW at an absolutely perfect time. There could not have been a more perfect time than to launch AEW and Dynamite than October or whatever it was of 2019. Fucking perfect. The audience wanted an alternative. But Tony came out of the chute throwing fucking hand grenades. Wouldn't get in the fight. Wasn't about to go head to head. But man, he didn't shy away from cutting down WWE. And by default, the audience that watched them. It's just, it's mind-boggling to me. What's even more fucking mind-boggling to me Is he still doing it? His business is cratering. Okay, cratering is too strong of a word. His business is deteriorating at a rapid pace. And I don't give a fuck about Wembley because it's an outlier. Your television ratings are deteriorating. Your live event business, well, you don't really have a live event business other than your live TV production, Dynamite, Rampage, Collision, whatever. The numbers are right there for the world to see, Tony. Everybody sees it, evidently, but you. Wake the fuck up while you still can. Because this approach of throwing rocks at WWE and talking about how these companies hate each other, you don't think that coming from you, Tony, that that's not going to incite more of the tribalism that you so desperately complain about? You're fucking creating it. And you're blowing what's left, and there's very little left. Don't believe me? If you're listening, go to Wrestling Inc. today. Go to Wrestling Inc. and look at some of the comments on anything Tony Khan posts. 85% of them are way more negative than anything I've ever said. Yes, you get your small handful of supporters, but that audience is getting smaller and smaller and smaller in social media. Ant Evans on Wise Choices, we took a pretty good look and deep dive into the last 6 months of AEW's YouTube performance. It's crashing and burning. This is like fucking watching Olympic cliff diving. And he's still doing it. That's the part that just, I'm beyond disappointed. I'm not going to, I try really hard. I look for positive things to say. Like, I'm excited about the Motor City Machine Guns potentially coming to AEW. Part of me is excited because they're really talented guys. They're really good guys. I've had a chance to work with them. Nothing but a ton of respect. But at the same time, I'm going, those poor fuckers. They're just, I hope the money's good. And that's a common thing that I hear.
Well, let's talk about the money because maybe there's some people who are looking to make a little more money. It's come out thanks to Cassidy Haynes over at bodyslam.net that the Motor City Machine Guns, who recently departed TNA, are probably going into AEW. They've had a really strong tag division over there since day one in AEW. And I, for one, I hope that Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin are about to make more money than they ever have. Long overdue. They've been a great tag team for what feels like forever. I've been watching these guys for like 20 years. And I got to assume whatever their new contract is, it's probably going to be the best of their career. Even if we don't always love their creative, I'm happy those guys are headed to AEW. How about you?
Well, for the money, yes. For the financial security and the opportunity that it provides them and their family to secure their futures, absolutely. But not for anything else, because that's all it is. There is, look, it's, again, if you can point to me anybody that's come in to AEW, look, MJF had a stellar growth spurt. It's not fair to call it a spurt. Tremendous growth as a character, as a performer, in every measurable way. Now, he's injured. It is what it is. I know there's speculations of whether or not he's coming back to AEW. I'm going to let that live wherever it lives. I'm not going to comment on that. It's not my job, not my desire. But you look at all of the, from Miros to, I mean, everybody that's come in from WWE that were established stars, and what's happened to their careers. They're making a lot of money, and I'm happy for them. But that's where it ends. It's a fucking career killer. Now, if you're on the downside of your career, or if there's other things about AEW, like the schedule, which I absolutely would understand for talent, especially, we talked about Will Ospreay. Evidently, there's some situations in his family life that to make this situation ideal for him. God bless him. And Tony for creating that opportunity for Will Ospreay to make the amount of money that Will Ospreay is reportedly making and not have to choose between his family and his job. I'm nothing but respect for that goodwill from Tony and creating that opportunity. Goodwill is not the right word. Creating that opportunity for talent. But that's where it ends. That's all it is a financial. It's sharing money. Tony is sharing his wealth. He's not building
Perhaps,
careers.
perhaps some guys are looking to build their careers. There's been a little discussion, a little rumor that popped up last week that WWE is interested in Hook, Taz's son, who's been the FTW champ and is currently programmed with Chris Jericho. He's apparently caught the eye of some WWE guys. I assume that he's on his first contract and he was starting wrestling when he signed with AEW. So I can't imagine it was huge money. I have no inside knowledge. I don't know. I'm just saying, as with everything else in sports, like in the NFL, you work through that rookie contract, you make your big money on that second contract. I could totally see Hook in NXT. What do you think? Do you think, I mean, and is it a challenge since Taz is still with AEW? Would that be difficult for Taz or for Hook?
I know Taz well enough to comfortably be able to say, fuck, no, it wouldn't create a problem. Will it create a problem for Tony? I don't know.
Right. That's what I meant.
Will Tony have an issue with it? Your guess is as good as mine. Taz won't. I don't know Hook. I don't know him as a person, so I can't honestly have an opinion. I wouldn't think so. And fortunately, Hook's got a father who understands the business, has been through it in every way, shape, or form, understands business, and knows how to make the right decisions. So I suspect Hook, by virtue of proximity, has some of those same feelings and perspectives. And I, for one, hope, because I'm friends with Taz. I like Taz. And I hope as a father that Hook gets the fuck out of there as fast as he can. And if he's got an opportunity at NXT or in WWE in any way, shape, or form, take that motherfucker.